third live stream. Technically fourth, the first one didn't work. How's it going, Hannah?
Yeah, good. Happy Monday.
Okay,
How
hang
you
on a
doing?
second. I'm good, but I'm just gonna wait. Okay, we've gone live. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to check that we've gone live on YouTube. I still don't trust it totally to do its thing. How are you finding live streaming? Tell me. I want to know.
Yeah, I like it because I always feel like I don't know whether I should say this or not, but like we don't prep this.
Not
Like
loads.
literally last night we were like, what are we going to talk about? And I always enjoy the conversations because I feel really relaxed talking with you. So it almost doesn't even matter that it's live, I think.
I feel like, you know how we've talked about, because we like message each other a lot and send each other a lot of voice notes, and we've always said, you know, like, oh, wouldn't it be interesting if people could sort of listen in on this? And I feel like this is kind of what it is. It's like us just having our regular conversations and letting some people listen in. So yeah, if you are watching, feel free to come say hi in the chat. We would love to hear from you. We would love to get your questions as we're chatting. Today, we're going to be chatting about time management, which I just feel like I'm not sure I've got any good tips on, but I think it'll be interesting. So to start off with, Hannah, what would you say, like, what are some of the areas that you struggle with when it comes to time management?
Oh, straight in with the struggle.
I know, yeah. Well, I'm all about going straight in with a nitty-gritty question.
I think that one of the main areas that I think I struggle with is probably around the amount of time I'm on my phone and scrolling. And I feel like even when I've tried to do work on this, and do you know what? I'm still getting the stuff done that I need to get done, but it's almost now it's more like I have loads of books that I want to read, but I'm scrolling on my phone. I started making that vest, the like quilted vest this weekend, and like I wanted to finish it, but probably spent more time on my phone afterwards. And I think that is the thing that I want to manage the most. It's like I pick my phone up when I want to be distracted and when I don't have loads of energy, and it's almost finding something else that's going to replace that. That's probably the thing that I struggle with the most.
Yeah, I definitely struggle with that as well. It's interesting what you said as well about when you're lacking energy, like that. When I'm tired, that is definitely, I just want to like, I want my brain to check out, and I just pick up my phone and just like waste time scrolling for sure. I think for me with time management, the biggest struggle is how unrealistic I am about what I can get done. So I often feel frustrated that my to-do list is like never ending, which is true, and I don't think it'll ever change from that. But I think the problem is that I will create a to-do list for the day, and it'll have like 20 things on it, and often I'll screenshot it and send it to you, and you're like, you're delusional. And I know I'm delusional. I guess it's just how I'm like storing the things that need to get done, and then I move them on to the next day. But actually what I'm realizing is that it impacts me negatively doing it like that, because then I'm just like, I always feel a bit disappointed that I didn't manage to complete the task for that day. So I have in the past tried to do it where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put the 3 essential things for this day on the list, and then if I get to anything extra, that's a bonus. But yeah, I need a better to-do list system basically. At the moment I'm just doing it on the notes on my phone, which that works fine for me, but it's more like I need to have like almost like, here's the 3 essentials for the day, and here's the added bonuses, and any added bonuses that don't get done get moved to the next day.
So are you finding that works, or you're finding that it doesn't work? Like, are you still not ticking off those 3 things?
I'm still, no, I am ticking off the 3 things. What I'm not doing is writing my to-do list like that. So I'm still going into it with the expectation of, I want to get all 20 of these things done today, and then being frustrated with myself when I'm not. So I'm basically setting myself up to fail because I'm creating an unrealistic to-do list and then not achieving the to-do list, which anybody could predict. Like when I send it to you and you're like, okay. So I think I just need to get a bit more disciplined with myself and just a bit more realistic about what's actually achievable in a day.
I think that's one of the problems that I see a lot of businesses having with time management, is that there is literally 2 camps. You either overestimate how long things are going to take, or you underestimate how long things are going to take. So you might have a to-do list that's really long and it's unachievable because there's no way you can complete those tasks because they are going to take longer than you think. Or there's something on your to-do list that you keep putting off until the next day because you think it's going to take ages,
And it
when
doesn't.
actually it's like a 6-minute task.
But
that you could
I'm
do.
both of those things. I'm in both of those camps.
Yeah.
That's like a double whammy of brutalness when it comes to time management. So what how do you like manage your to-do list?
So I've just started using that app. Is it literally called Todoist? The one I sent you?
Oh, maybe.
The Todoist? Or
Yeah. Is it
and
paid though?
no, it's free. You can only
Okay.
have a certain number of projects, I think, but
Okay.
I'm not using like the projects feature really in it.
Mhm.
But what I am doing with it is just using that as like a brain dump for all of my tasks. So
Nice.
I get frustrated with myself because I forget things that I want to do. Like I have like a brief idea and I'm like, oh yeah, I must do that. Sometimes I'll send it to you and I'm like, I'm sending this to you because I don't want to forget that I want to do it.
Yeah.
And so having them all in there has been really good. And then I can just pick the ones that I want to do each day. But it's not very structured in terms of like deadlines and things like that. I need to kind of organize it into the things that are the priorities. So I'm probably still doing what you're doing in terms
Yeah,
of the
just
3
in a notes.
priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever use like pen and paper, or are you a digital to-do list kind of person?
Oh yeah. Oh well, I don't have a physical calendar. I don't have a digital calendar. I only
Oh
have
my
my
goodness.
physical. And this drives Liz mad because she'll text me and be like, "Can you do this day?" And I'll be like, "Oh, wait until I go back upstairs. I'll have a look." Or I get
Oh
Tom to
my
text me
goodness,
the
this
page.
actually horrifies me. I just don't know. I mean, I love a physical calendar, but I just could not cope with that being the only thing. Yeah,
I
I
could
mean
just
that
never update the
that
digital
doesn't
one.
work for us because me and Neil have a joint calendar. You know, like
Yes.
we need to be able to see what each other are doing, especially running our own businesses. There's like a lot of like delicate, it's our kind of
Yeah.
like source of truth of like this is what's happening this week, so we both need to access it. So yeah, I don't think I could get away with physical calendar, but I respect it. I mean, I don't. I think you're crazy.
I don't respect you at all. Do you feel like your time management changed like after you had kids? Do you think like how you had to manage it changed after that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things that I used to love doing before kids, and I don't know how to explain this without it sounding really weird, but I love faffing, or like I think you'd call it pottering. You know, like just like spend a whole day just like pottering around, getting little things done. And I feel like since having kids, like I can't do that anymore. Like I have to be so much more intentional with my time. So I guess having less time, there's like a certain pressure to be far more productive in that time, because it's not like I can then just keep working, you know, for as long as I want. So yeah, but I definitely spend more time working in the evenings than I would like to, but partly it's because I enjoy that faffing time, you know, where there's no one needing anything from me, and I guess that's the time when I can do it a bit more. But probably sacrificing sleep for faffing and pottering isn't the best idea ever. But yeah, so it definitely has changed. I think now that they're a bit older and in school, like it's easier because I do have longer stretches of time to work. But even then, like, oh my goodness, 3 o'clock comes round so fast. But yeah, so it has changed.
I like that. And do you think so if you're like working in the evening, do you think that you could be getting the stuff done quicker? Like, do you think you're still faffing when you're doing the work?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of things I'm realizing in my creative business where I've given myself a really hard time about something, but actually I think I just have to acknowledge that that is part of like how I work and my creative process. And that's not to say I'm not going to challenge myself and try and do things better, but for example, one of the things that I give myself a really hard time about is leaving things to the last minute. But what I've realized in my creative process is that I need a lot of thinking time to almost like solve the problem, and then I need a lot of pressure to actually get the work done, to work well. So actually, I've stopped giving myself such a hard time about that process and just acknowledge that that is the way that I work best creatively. And I think it's the same with this, like acknowledging that actually I need that faffing time. Like I need that time where I've got space to like mull over ideas and solve problems. And I think this so often happens that we see something like that as a failing, or that we're doing something wrong, whereas actually it's just how our brain works and it's our creative process. So I'm sure that there are times when I could do things more efficiently, but I think I want to allow for that, like time to play and not necessarily do things the most efficient way ever.
I think it's being intentional with it, though, isn't it? When
Yeah.
you're like, now is my faffing time. Now is my productive time. The
Yeah.
faffing time can't come into the productive time because then it doesn't work. It's all faff.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think you have to protect that like productive time and make sure that, I have given myself the time to think about this now. Now I've got to get the work done.
Yeah.
Because
And I
also,
guess
like,
that's where the deadline helps a
yeah,
bit. Yeah.
but you have to be careful that the deadline isn't too close to the actual deadline, because then
Yes.
it leaves no room for like anything going
Error or
wrong.
anything. Yeah,
Things like
totally.
that.
Phil said that he's learned to be productive with his time management. While backing up his
Yeah.
photography, he goes for a short walk. While making a cuppa, I like to have a good stretch and move around. Yeah, that's so good. And I think we like that's another thing that I don't think in the past I've been as intentional about as I should, is like, yeah, getting out, moving my body, having that time for a change of scenery, which actually helps me so much actually be more productive. Not that it's all about being more productive, but you know what I mean? Helping me use my time more intentionally and efficiently, I guess.
I feel like this as well is about habit stacking, which I
Mm,
really like. I really like to do, and I really like to talk about, because you're thinking, right, I've got this space of time while I'm backing up my photography. What am I going to do with it? And I was thinking about this yesterday. How I'm going to do a reel about this week. I think how like there are these little pockets of time that some of them are really obvious and some of them are not so obvious. So like I had my LED mask on last night, and that is 10 minutes. And in that 10 minutes, I will read my book, because I'm just sat
nice.
there. Like,
Yeah.
it's not really very nice to go on your phone on it, to be honest. But I can read my book, so I've got 10 minutes there. Like, if I put something in the air fryer, there will be a timer on the air fryer. So, say it's 20 minutes. I've got 20 minutes to whiz around the kitchen and just like tidy it up in that time.
Mm,
And then also, there's obviously the stuff I talk about, like making a cup of tea and fitting in your marketing in that. But that doesn't have an actual timer, but you just know kind of roughly how long that's going to take and how you could fit something into that. And I think it's those little pockets of time that I used to get my phone out to scroll, and sometimes I still do. Like, I'm obviously not perfect with it. But if I can like train my brain to realize that that pocket is for this,
yeah.
it makes it much easier.
Oh my goodness. We're also like, it's that we are like animals, aren't we? Where we have to like teach ourselves. I mean, we are animals, but like it's that chimp brain thing,
Yeah.
where we almost like have to train our brains to like work in a particular way. I love that though. I really like the habit stacking as well. And I think it's like it is that training, isn't it? It's like doing it over and over again, so that when something happens, your body doesn't think, or your brain doesn't think, right, time to get my phone out for a scroll. And this
Yeah.
this kind of like links in with your whole 10-minute marketing. It's like training your brain when you've got those little pockets to not go, oh, I'm just gonna scroll my phone, but actually to think, oh, I could actually do something meaningful to promote my
Mm.
business in this little slot.
Yeah, and it all adds up to
Yeah.
so much. Like, even though if you're like Phil going for a walk and you're trying to get those steps in, like those little blocks of steps will all add up to loads of steps by the end of the week.
Mm.
Those little blocks of marketing all add up to loads of marketing. Like this morning, I got up and I was like, oh, should I sit in bed? And I thought, no, I want to get my steps in. So I went on the treadmill and I on my like walking pad and went on my computer and I did all my admin and I did like an hour and a half of just walking and steps. And that's like it done now for the
Yeah,
day. I combined those two things together and like ticked them both off.
that's so
And so
good.
sometimes, yeah, you just gotta like convince yourself to do it.
How do you think your time management is impacted by having like a chronic illness?
I feel like I what am I trying to say? I think like from the beginning, so I've had Crohn's now for like over 10 years, and at the beginning I was much worse. So like I didn't have a lot of energy, I didn't have a lot of like time when I was able to do anything. And so I tried to like get things done in the time that I had. And
Mm.
I think that is what I've kind of brought along the rest of my business is that I can do things really quickly. Like I am
Yeah.
quite good at getting things done. And when I worked like in a proper job, that was almost like penalized. Like you're there for
Mm.
8 hours, so you must fill the time. Whereas like if you're getting the task done in an hour, you've still got to sit there for another 7 hours. And obviously like yeah, I feel like it was almost not frowned upon, but like you weren't celebrated for getting things done quickly. Whereas
That's
that's
so
something that I've brought along into
interesting.
my business is like I am good, I'm fast. I'm fast at this because I'm good at it. And that is
Yeah.
something that like is a good thing for me. It's
Yeah,
not a
and it
bad
and
thing.
it means that you're rewarded by having that time. Like, you don't have to sit at your desk for another 7 hours. You can go
Yeah.
go and do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Do you feel like, I mean, I know I don't think you have this as much, but I'm guessing, like, in the past, you had, like, times where things would flare up and you'd feel ill and you weren't in control of that. So, like,
Mm.
how have you? Because I feel like you've really intentionally built your business a particular way to almost, like, account for that.
Yeah, I think so. Like when I was first diagnosed, I remember going like back to the doctor and he was like, "You are not going to get better unless you rest." And he's like, "I don't want you doing like your uni work and like sneaking in a bit of this, sneaking in a bit of that. You literally need to do nothing and then
Mm.
you will get better." And that was so hard.
So hard,
So hard
yeah.
to do. And like I remember my dad being like, "You need to like literally don't not do anything." Um and so I've forgotten what your question was.
Like that you've intentionally planned your business so that if you have a flare up, like you can
Oh,
take that
yeah.
time to rest effectively. Because
Exactly,
that's
yeah.
that's so hard. Like I don't feel like I've built my business well. Not that I have a chronic illness, but like as in if like if the kids are sick or if something, they're off school or whatever,
Mm.
I don't feel like I've built it in a way that can easily manage that. I mean, I can manage that and it's fine, but it's often quite stressful.
Yeah, I feel like I have now, especially, like, with the best 90 days ever, I feel like that could continue without me for, like, a short period of time. I
Mm.
don't want it to because I I love it, but,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I feel like it could. But also, like, something that we were talking about recently is that you prepare for the bad stuff, but we're also not preparing for the good stuff. So like me
Mm.
and you went to Glasgow recently together, and that was like quite last minute, really.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have a lot of time to like prepare or to shuffle work around. So you're almost like leaving space in your calendar for good stuff to happen as well. And I think that's when the opportunities come because if you're having to continuously say, no, I'm too busy. Like I don't have time to pitch. I don't have time to be on that podcast. I don't have time to go to that event. Like you're not going to get asked to do any more events if you keep saying no to them. So I think it's that as well.
Oh, I love that take because I just think we are so conditioned to like cram all of our time full, especially as business owners, where it's like it's all about making as much money as possible in the time. Well,
Mm,
it's not all about that, but like I feel like there's like a push towards that. But you're so right. Like actually we need that space so that if something difficult comes up, we can manage it. But also exactly like you said, if good things come up, we have the capacity to take them on because you never know when
yeah.
like an exciting opportunity is just around the corner. And it is
Mm,
gutting if like you get your sort of dream speaking gig, say, and then you can't go.
yeah. And also, I feel like part of the reason that we try and do things quickly and more effectively is not to just continuously add more stuff to our to-do list. Like with like my membership, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, why am I trying to get you to do it in 10 minutes? And it's not so you can do loads of other random admin tasks and like
Mm-hmm.
fill up your time. It is like, obviously there's business growth stuff in there, but it is so you can go for a walk and listen to a podcast
Yeah,
or
yeah.
do all these other things. Like if there's stuff in your business that is taking too long, you need to learn how to make it be quicker
Mm.
so that you have more time for other stuff. Like a lot of this stuff should not be taking as long as it is. A carousel post should not be taking like 3 hours if you're not a content creator.
Okay, so we've got sort of 10 minutes left. Let's end with, and I guess this totally like fits in with time management. What are some of your tips for doing things quicker? So obviously there's an element of this which is just you're good at what you do, which you talked about earlier. So part of it is just, you've put in the hours, practice, you get quicker over time. And I sorry, just to go on a little tangent, I was just thinking, what you were saying about working quicker and being penalized, that is totally an issue, like when you're self-employed as well, in the sense that if you like as a branding designer, I've got quicker at doing that. If I charge hourly for that, then I'm penalized for working faster. So that's why I don't charge hourly for my projects. But anyway, I just wanted to stick that in there. But yeah, let's think of some tips. So what are some of your ways? So like you mentioned, making a carousel post shouldn't take 3 hours. Like, how are you saving that time?
Lois has just put my carousel
it did take
Lois.
3 hours. Although I think for Lois, probably about an hour and a half of that was like overthinking whether she should post it or not. Okay, give us some tips, Hannah.
Firstly, separate how long is actually overthinking, faffing, procrastinating, wondering what to do, and how much of it is actually doing the thing. And then I think, so we're just moving all of that to one side because we don't need that. When it comes to actually doing the thing, I think it's all about like the process and the systems that you have. So you need to be more organized before you get to the point of creating the carousel post. So by the time you even get to the like stage where you're going to create it, I would expect to already have like a rough idea of what it's going to be about, maybe some bullet points for each of the slides. I would have, if I'm using any photos, I would have moved those photos into a folder. So like I think Lois's post was about the workshop, wasn't it? So what Lois could do is on that evening quickly make a folder, an album on her phone, call it workshop photos and move them all into there, so they're all ready to go. She can use them like in the future for future carousel posts, emails, anything else. They're all there, saved, ready to go. Then when it comes to the actual carousel post, like what can you do to make it easier? Can you use a template? Can you use a template of something you've done before? What is actually going to be the quickest version of this? And do that, and then just use that as a template going forward.
I do think one of the biggest mindset shifts that we all need to have as business owners is to stop thinking that everything we create has to be new, because I think that's it. It's like, go and find an old post that you did that did well, and basically, like, I'm just thinking now, I did a carousel post a little while ago and I had these like green boxes on top of images. I could just go and find that design and just replace the images and the text, but I'm not having to like think about what the layout's going to be. I think
that's what I did last night. Like obviously I'm in like the next launch, so I went back to my October and July launches, which are still in Adobe Express, like in their projects, and I just duplicated that and swapped the picture. That's literally it.
So
and I had
good.
10 posts because and do you know what, before I even got to that stage, I'd gone through my phone albums and I'd made a new album called Spring Photos, and then I'd searched like spring flowers, those like March, those kinds of periods, put all the ones I wanted to use in those. That took me like 10 minutes, and then they were all there ready to go. So it was so quick.
So you mentioned Adobe Express. Do you have a project for each of your launches in there?
Yeah, I probably have more than one for each launch, to be honest.
Okay.
But
I love that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to do that. I want to see it. You should do a video on that. I love seeing how other people organize their stuff. I guess, yeah, I mean, what you're describing is sort of, again, it's like being intentional and setting yourself up to succeed by doing a little bit of pre-planning. So like organizing your photos before you actually sit down to create the carousel, like probably just keeping a running notes of like ideas for carousel posts, like that sort of thing, so that I guess it's setting yourself up so you're never coming to it with a blank page, really, because that then takes time.
And find like what works for you with that, because sometimes for me, I just have like a running I was gonna call it a running dump. I just have a running board on my Trello. Oh no.
I've
I
gone.
just have like a running board on my Trello, which is for like notes and stuff.
I don't know how to recover. I can't recover from this. Okay, sorry, serious.
So I have a running board on my Trello, which is just every like thought, like every idea that I have, and I'll put at the front like real idea, carousel idea, and they all just go into there. And then when I have the time, or like I'm in the brain space for creating content, I'll move it into like the different sections.
Oh, I like that.
This week I have. That doesn't work for me every week. So this week I just have a note on my phone because I've been like more out and about. So I've been just like getting
writing
it down
things
on the note
down
on the
as
phone.
you can. Yeah.
So whatever works for you, but catch the thought. If you have any kind of idea, like, oh, that would be a good post, or you see something, you think I could do that for my business. Write it down, because you will just forget it otherwise.
Even if you just have a friend that you send all reels to on Instagram, because sometimes I do that, is I go back through our messages, or often we send links on WhatsApp, and I go back and I've sent you a message being like, I want to recreate this reel, or I want to do this trend, and then I can just go back and find it and be like, oh yeah, so that can also be a method of doing it as well. Yeah.
And the other person might have an idea for how you could recreate that for yours. So like sometimes we'll send it to each other, and I'll say to you like, how could I do this for mine? And you'll have an idea that I haven't thought of.
Yeah.
It's always good.
So good. That is really helpful. So, well, I don't think we've probably fixed anybody's time management issues, but I do think there's some really helpful ideas there in terms of, like being more realistic about your to-do lists, setting yourself up to be able to do things quickly. There was a few other things that I was thinking. So you mentioned templates as one. There was another one that I was thinking. I mean, I think organization, templates, capturing all your ideas. I think organization is like a big bit of it. It's not like you don't have to do it right away, but it's just like, how do you keep all of those things stored in a way that works for your brain? And I think that's why no one can tell you exactly what to do, because like everyone on the internet is obsessed with Notion and has made a million amazing Notion templates, but for some reason my brain just does not work with Notion. So I've had to find different ways to do it. Whereas I know people run their whole business using Notion, and it like has changed their lives. So you've got to try some things out, I think, and work out what's best for you.
Let me show you my this is my email launch planner for this week.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love it. I love it. See, that works so much better for my brain. Yeah, totally.
And that won't work next week. I can almost guarantee.
Oh, yours. Okay, yours
you know
changes.
What I mean?
Yeah.
But that's fine. Like, you just have to listen to what's gonna help you, like, to save time. And I agree with what you're saying. I think it's the pre-bit that is going to save you the most time. The bit before you actually sit down to do all of the tasks, that's where like the most time saving is going to be.
Yeah. Top tip, the pre-bit. We need to think of a better name for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's good.
Amazing. Well, thank you. I think we haven't totally landed on a regular time yet for these live streams, but we're averaging one a week at the moment, and we will eventually pick a time so that everyone knows when they're going to be and they're at the same time. But yeah, thanks for joining me for another live stream.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me. That's fun.